Alright, so for today's video, we are going to be taking a look at both of the Wiha Linesman Plier and the crosscut pliers. Now, one thing to note about the crosscut pliers is they are exclusive to the Australian market, but you can get your hands on them. But I just wanted to make that very clear. They are exclusive to the Australian market. As far as I know, I don't believe they are sold anywhere else. And the lineman pliers you can get pretty much everywhere. So to start off the video here, they are both insulated tools. Now I know for a fact that the linesman pliers, you can buy them with just standard comfort grip handles if you don't need all the insulation or the insulating. I'm not 100% sure about the crosscuts, as they, like I said, they're not really available here in the States. So I'm not sure if they have just a standard comfort grip handle or a standard dipped handle like the linesman pliers has. Now, the one thing to note is both of these tools are made in Vietnam, in Wiha's factory there. And they're a little bit differently. They're a little bit different. They are both a part of the industrial line of tools from Wiha. So obviously the one big thing to realize, the difference between the two is the crosscuts are more of a shear. When it comes to cutting things, they have a shearing action on them, whereas the standard pair of lineman pliers are kind of your hammer anvil, or your they just kind of pinch and cut the wire, where the crosscuts are more of a like cable shear, and they'll still cut the wire, but they're going to leave a lot cleaner of a cut on there, where this little pinch it, kind of leave a sharp jagged edge on it. So to start off the video here, like I said, they're both insulated. Now the handles are a little bit different. This is the handles that come on the crosscuts. I kind of like these handles a little bit better than the handles that come on the insulated linesman pliers. I feel like the nubs on the top are a lot thicker and kind of catch in your hand a lot easier than they do with the lineman pliers, but that's just me. So like I said, they are both insulated. And typical with your German brand of tools, they typically have a barcode on them, and then some other important information there on the inside of the handle. So that's the lineman pliers. Now you do have some of that information still on the crosscuts as well. So it's still, gone through all the VDE testing and everything to prove that the tool is insulated. And that's your IEC 690 insulated tool code right there. And then you have your barcode back here in the Wiha websites on the back as well. Now, the one thing to note about these crosscuts is they do feature a crimper here on the back. Now, on this specific pair of linesman pliers, I do not have a crimper on the back. I do have a fish tape puller with these, but I do not have a crimper on the back. Now, Wiha does sell a pair that does feature a crimper on the back as well, but at the time I bought this in a set, and that didn't have a set that came with a crimper, so this is all I've had, and I've been happy with this tool. I don't typically use the crimpers that come on the tools. It is a nice feature that they do have. Kind of makes the tool a little bit more like a multi-tool. For me, I just prefer to use a tool dedicated for crimping. But if I do need to use a crimper in a pinch and I don't have my regular crimper on hand, a pair of pliers that has a crimper on it is a fairly nice thing to have. The Wiha, don't believe you have a fish tape puller on here. But when it comes to the nose design on both of the pliers, they both do have a crossed hatch nose. But as you can see, the one on the linesman pliers is a lot larger than the one on the crosscuts, but it is still a nice crossed hatch pattern. Obviously, with the linesman pliers, you're going to have a lot bigger of a cross hatch section on the nose of the plier, just so you can twist and grip and pull whatever you need to. Now, the one thing to note about the linesman pliers is they are a little bit beefier of a head. As you can see, the head on the crosscuts isn't as beefy. And that's mainly because the lineman pliers, a lot of people like to use them as a hammer. And Wiha did kind of implement this cross-hatching here on the side. They say it's for reaming pipe, but they also say you can use it as a hammer. So if you needed to pound in some staples, a nail, or whatever, you're just trying to pound something out of your way, maybe pound a screw head out or whatever, you could use that as the striking side of the pliers. And they did finally figure that out, that they do advertise that as a hammer, whereas the crosscut, you're not really going to be able to do that because you can see you don't really have quite a big surface to hit. If you were going to use these to drive, a staple or something in, you pretty much have to use the tip or the front head of the plier, which if you miss, you're going to miss. So there is that. But these guys open up to about there. That's as far open as you can get the Linesman pliers. Now the crosscuts, they will open, they'll pretty much eat the Linesman pliers. So they do open up fairly large. So if you need to cut, a wire that had multiple conductors in it, you could do it a lot easier than you would be able to do with this pair of Linesman pliers. Now, the one thing to note about the Linesman pliers is they don't have that cross cut design. So you are going to be able to cut things like machine screws without any issue. When it comes to the crosscuts, you're definitely not going to be cutting any screws with these. You're only going to be cutting, soft material, copper wire, aluminum wire, and things like that with these guys. They're not going to be rated to cut screws. If you do try to cut a screw with them, I'm sure you're not going to, one, you're not going to be able to cut the screw, and two, I'm sure you would do some damage to the cutting knives on these guys. So that's pretty much it for kind of the differences about them. They both do their job fairly well. We'll demonstrate that here. These guys cut through Romex wire like it's nothing. And then again, the Linesman pliers will be able to cut through that Romex wire like it's nothing. They do have a little bit of a different sound when you cut through it, but that's, nothing too crazy. That's just the way that the handles are on the pliers. So they have no problem cutting through, cutting through conductors or anything. Now, the one thing I like about the crosscuts that I find a lot easier to do is you can use them to strip wire a lot easier than a pair of Linesman pliers. So all you have to do is that, and you can easily strip the wire. And then if you for some reason you mess it up, you easily cut it off, do it again. Whereas a Linesman plier, you can still strip wire with it. I do find it's just a little bit trickier to do. But you can see you can strip wire with it if you need to. I just find that the crosscut design plier does work a lot easier when it comes to stripping wire, and you can strip multiple conductors with it at a time. I'm sure if you did practice a little bit with the Linesman pliers, you could probably be real efficient at stripping wire or multiple conductors at a time. Obviously, it's pretty easy for me to strip one wire with a pair of Linesman pliers, but I do find with the crosscuts it's a lot easier to strip multiple conductors at once. So that's really about it for kind of like a little comparison between these two. It would be nice to see Wiha bring these into some of the other markets, maybe the European and especially the US market. You don't really have many crosscut pliers. I believe Australia is really the only place that uses crosscut pliers. And it would be nice to see Wiha start to offer these elsewhere. And it would be nice to see some of the, some of the trades pick them up and use them and realize how versatile they are compared to a pair of Linesman pliers. Now, your Linesman pliers are going to do a lot of things. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. But I do feel like a crosscut's a little bit different. Kind of combines, a pair of Linesman pliers and a pair of wire strippers kind of all in one. Which I really like that feature about them. And once you learn how to use the tool, you're pretty much going to be a master at using the tool. And you can get this tool to do anything that you can get a pair of Linesman pliers to do, minus cutting screws and nails and things like that. But if you're cutting wire, stripping wire, hooking up outlets, switches, and everything, instead of using a pair of Linesman pliers, you could theoretically use a pair of crosscuts to get the job done just as well. But with that being said, that's all I have for this video. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, please feel free to leave them down in the comment section below. And if you did enjoy this video, please consider dropping a thumbs up on it. But that's all I have for this video.